Today we're going to talk about the first new book releases for the month of March. As always, I will have timestamps between the genres so you can pick whichever is your favorite. First up is going to be our Sci-Fi Jitterbug by Gareth L. Powell. This one is releasing on the 3rd in physical and ebook, but the audio is available 2 days later on the 5th. Jupiter and Saturn are gone, and a mysterious force has built a huge habitable sphere from their ashes. When criminals try to lose themselves on this new frontier, bounty hunters like Copernicus Brown and the crew of sentient ship Jitterbug get paid to hunt them down. But when Brown rescues Amber Roth, sole survivor of a pirate attack, the Jitterbug and her crew find themselves the target of a powerful political factions who want control over the data chip hidden in Roth's stomach. And all the while, something vast and ancient creeps towards them from the depths of space. This is an author that I've been wanting to try, so this one is very cool sounding. That might be a good starting point for standalones. Into fantasy, we start with the first book in a new series that I don't think there was a name yet. Black is Diamond by U.M. Agawike. Sorry about that. A cursed warrior or reckless healer, a chance to save the world or condemn it. Like the rest of the winged Erishkiel, a warrior Asuro has spent his life fighting the remnants of a long dead enemy. When his brother's squadron disappears from a border keep, Asuro travels into the human realm to investigate, only to become ensnared by a fatal and unbreakable curse that could wipe out his people. When he inadvertently commits a terrible crime, Asuro is thrown into the path of Rin, an emotionally tortured former healer playing with dangerous magic. Bound to one another by a spell gone wrong and on the run from freelance killers, they set out to find the chronicler, keeper of the Ereshkiel's history, who could bring them answers, redemption, and the cure to Asuro's curse. Early reviews for this were pretty mixed, I will admit. There are some that were saying it was amazing, it was a great debut fantasy, and there were others that didn't enjoy the writing, like the prose of it, maybe because you might want to consider this more in the new adult, older YA sphere. The next one up is The Bounty of Blood and Nails by N.K. Brown. This is the first of the Devil's Huntress series, and it is only going to be available in physical and ebook, no audio yet at this point. Tam is a heartless, ruthless bounty hunter, or so her handler would have you believe. With her ability to use forbidden blood magic, Tam tracks and captures her prey, the same blood magic that curses her to a life of servitude under a cruel handler. One wrong move, and not only her life, but her family's will be at stake. But when she is sent to a remote, superstitious northern town, where even a glimmer of magic will send you to the gallows, she's forced to confront the darker consequences of her work. In this fast-paced, thrilling tale of magic betrayal and forbidden love, Tam will have to decide if being the bad guy is worth losing everything. I think this next one is a standalone, if I remember right. It will be on the screen if I'm wrong. Green and Deadly Things by Jen Lyons. Centuries ago, necromancy almost destroyed the world. That's how history remembers it. History remembers it wrong. Metallic has trained all his life to join the Sacred Order of the Idyllic Knights, charged with defending their world from the forces of necromancy. Only vestiges of that cursed magic remain, nothing like the fabled days of the Grim Lords, the undead wizards who once nearly destroyed the world. But when an even stranger kind of monster begins to wake, the knights quickly prove powerless to stop them. Whole forests are coming alive and devouring anyone so foolish as to trespass, as if the land itself has turned upon humanity. And it's a good thing, then, that the Grim Lords never truly were destroyed. As I still want to read her series as well, that's why I really do think this is a standalone, because I remember seeing it and being like, oh, I could try this instead of jumping into her whole 5-book, 1,000 plus pages chunkiness and see if I like her writing. Though there are people who said they loved her series that didn't quite love this, possibly then also proving it's a standalone, saying it's harder with that one. The first book in the Age of Beasts series, The Library of Amorlin by Kaylin Josephson. Kisara used to be a masterful con artist, choosing her target, building trust, judging the precise moment to make her move. Now she's working off a lengthy prison sentence by hunting dangerous magical creatures on behalf of the fantastical kingdom of Kathos. But Kisara's past catches up with her when the ambassador from Kathalos arrives at her camp with a deal, her freedom in exchange for the infiltrating and destabilizing the magical institution meant to protect all 6 kingdoms, the Library of Morlin. So we have a library setting. We have a fantastical beast. I think the library is actually like a refuge for magical creatures too. There will be something between as she infiltrates the library, becoming I guess, a junior librarian thing. And the head master librarian whose deal is protecting it, and it describes him as prickly. So, interesting aspects there. From there, we move into Romantasies. First up is The Last Starborn Seer by Vintia Constantine. This is the first of the Star branded chronicles, which will be a trilogy. And this one is also releasing physical and ebook on the 3rd and audio on the 5th. Lilini Stellarian is cursed, the last of a ruined bloodline. She's shunned for her volatile starborn magic, which grants her prophetic visions but is slowly corrupting her mind. Branded a pariah, Lilini is blamed for the sickening, a wasting curse that fractured the realms of Arcelia and plunged them into war. When her dying mother's health deteriorates and a forced marriage threatens her future, Lilini seizes her chance to reclaim her fate. A prophecy speaks of an ancient relic that could end the sickening, and she's determined to find it. Then the second book in the Crystal Bloom series is getting its traditional publishing debut. That's To Snap a Silver Stem by Sarah A. Parker. So this is her other trilogy series. It says, To Bleed a Crystal Bloom is a dark Rapunzel reimagining full of immersive imagery and breathtaking angst. 19 years ago, I was plucked from the heart of a bloody massacre that spared nobody else and placed into a tower for her own protection. For contemporary romances, we start with Just Friends by Haley Pham. Blair and Declan are inseparable growing up, best friends who knew each other better than anyone else. But when an impulsive kiss took them from friends to something more, everything changed. Just as quickly as their romance started, one moment shattered it all, leaving them with nothing but a heartbreak in silence. Now, 4 years later, Blair is back in their coastal hometown of Seabrook to support her mom and care for her great aunt Lottie as her health declines. To make ends meet, Blair applies to work at a coffee shop, only to discover it's managed by none other than Declan, the boy she loved, the boy she lost, the boy who still makes her heart race. Then we have Across the Vanishing Sky by Catherine Cowles. He spent a lifetime trying to escape his dark past, but to save her, he'll wade back into the shadows. Braden Winslow never expected to return to Starlight Grove, the town that took everything from her. Not after her best friend, the one who'd sacrificed so much for her, vanished without a trace. But with a young son to raise and a past that won't stay buried, Bray is back and determined to uncover the truth. And the closer she gets to the truth, the harder it is to stay away from Dex, her mysterious rugged neighbor. And as things get more perilous, Bray realizes the only person she can rely on is the man who swore never to trust again. Only someone isn't happy that Bray has been digging, and they'll do anything to stop her. But Dex, he'll do anything to save her, even slip back into the dark. We'll jump into our thrillers now with The Secret Lives or Murderers' Wives by Elizabeth Arnott. Beverly, Elise, and Margaret are not your average housewives. They're all wives of convicted killers. During the sun-drenched summer of 1966, the three women form an unlikely friendship after the discoveries of their husbands' brutal crimes. With their exes, some of California's most infamous murderers, dead or behind bars, they're attempting to forge a new future for themselves. They know people will look at them and think only one thing. How could they not have known that their husbands were doing? How much are they to blame? And yet, when a string of local killings hits the news, the three women, underestimated, overlooked, and shrewd, decide to get to work. After all, who better to catch a killer than those who have shared their lives and their homes with one? I think this will bring a different vibe to it for sure. Our other thriller is a dual timeline, also slightly with the historical vibes then. Turn Off the Light by Jacqueline Walters. On the isolated eastern shore of Virginia, Edith is a healer, a woman of knowledge, and a woman watched. Shadows move where they shouldn't, whispers creep through the dark. Terrified she has opened her home to the devil, Edith makes a desperate choice. Claire doesn't believe in ghosts until she returns home to care for her dying father and finds her childhood house listening. As one sleepless night bleeds into the next, she becomes convinced something is stirring beneath the floorboards, something that has waited a long time to rise. So it's going to be told through both women's perspectives. This also might be a bit more horror than just thriller. We move to a YA thriller, A Thousand Perfect Lies by Monica Murphy. New York native Billy Vale arrives at Wickham Academy, England's most elite boarding school, with forged identity as Belinda Winters and one mission, clear her sister's name. Isla lies in a coma, accused of killing her best friend. Billy has one shot to uncover the truth in a school built on privilege and deception. Succeed, and her estranged father will finally help her mother. Fail, and it will tear what's left of her family apart. But Wickham's secrets run deep, and not everyone wants them exposed. As the school's golden boy and also the brooding loner both seem to know more than they're letting on, and both want to keep Billy kind of close. So I think we're going to lean into the love triangle trope with this one. Then we have the sequel, The Dragon and the Sun Lotus by Emily Winslow. The first book for this one was The Scorpion and the Night Blossom, that was following our main character, Anne Yings, after 9 years ago, the war between the Kingdom of Night and the Kingdom of Rivers tore her family apart, leaving her mother barely alive and her baby sister to fend for. Now the mortal realm is falling into eternal night, and Mo, beautiful ravenous demons, roam, feasting on the souls of humans. And her only hope was going through the immortality trials. And if she can complete every magical competition trial, she has the chance to save her mother's life. For the second book, it says her rival has now become her enemy and she must team up with someone else. Starting out fiction with a more historical take, A Far-Flung Life by M.L. Stedman. When we do something that can't be undone or mended, how do we go on living? How do we find our North Star when there is no right answer? Remote Western Australia, 1958. Here, for generations, the McBrides have lived on a vast sheep station, Meredith Downs. It is a million acres, an ocean of arid land. On an ordinary day, on a lonely road, under the unending blue sky, patriarch Phil McBride swerves to avoid a kangaroo. This is from the author of The Light Between Oceans, and it's supposed to be the story of family, tragedy, and repercussions that filter down through the decades, or aftermath that reverberates the decades, is what it says. Our next one, the author said, is for fans of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and kind of, she got the idea from that for sure. Too Blessed to Stress by Ali Hoff Kosick. Cameron, Savannah, Trishy, and Kristen are #blessed. As influencers at the hottest megachurch in town, Moving Word, the quartet is committed to sharing everything from modest, but on trend, style tips to advice on finding the godliest man possible. Across platforms, #synergy, they show just how easy it is to be modern Christian women, especially if you use their discount codes. But behind their veneer and veneers, the truth isn't quite so picture perfect. When Moving Word's charming leader, Pastor Kyle, and his ridiculously perfect wife, Cassidy, decide to host a lavish fundraiser to put the mega church further on the map, the women find themselves knee-deep in the biggest event since the Last Supper. But the brighter the spotlight, the darker the shadows, and the women quickly discover that something is quite not right with this fundraiser and or their church, and they're forced to confront questions of hypocrisy, exposure, and how to wield one's power for good. All of the early reviews look really good for this one. So if you're into that sort of vibe, maybe check it out. Then more of a fiction, dark comedy sort of book. Aubrey Wants to Die by Pip Knight. Aubrey is not what she seems. She's young, beautiful, romantic, obsessive, and a vampire. All she wants is to be human again, and failing that, she wants to die. But the problem is she can't. Not by a stake through the heart, or holy water, or crucifix, or garlics, or fire. And she's tried every method twice. So she's stuck here on Earth, all alone. Even the vampire who made her this way, an aristocratic douchebag called Oscar, has abandoned her. But everything changes one fateful night when she meets Jonathan. He's everything Aubrey's ever dreamed of, and what's more, he's her soulmate. Her Bella Edwards story. For the first time in 150 years, she has a reason to hope. Eternal life might be bearable after all. So when Jonathan unexpectedly breaks up with her, she'll do anything to get him back. Probably means anything. And also, her maker, Oscar, is going to be showing back up in town. Our last book this week is a nonfiction memoir, You with the Sad Eyes by Christina Applegate. Christina Applegate came of age on sets and stages, expected to be on time, with lines learned, ready for lights, camera, action. And what started as a financial necessity soon became an emotional escape from a tumultuous home life in the infamous Laurel Canyon scene of the 70s and 80s. She rocketed to stardom on the sitcom Married with Children and went on to captivate audiences in the classics like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, Anchorman, and Dead to Me in her 5-decade-long career. Now, at her most intimate and vulnerable, she unveils a story not even the closest to her fully know. She returns to the diaries she kept her whole life, finding the pain matched by joy, the losses mitigated by the extraordinary, and the weight of a life lifted by her unrelenting belief that something greater lay ahead. No longer willing to lock herself away, and with the perspective only your own mortality can bring, she knew it was imperative to tell it all. I have a few honorable mentions, as these have kind of been traditionally published before, but they are getting reprints, and I feel like a lot of people might be hearing about them and seeing them, so we'll just throw them in here too. First one up is Between Two Fires by Christopher Buhlman. It was originally published 12 years ago, but that that publisher, though it is out of print now, but Tor is doing a reprint edition of this as well as a broken binding. This is a dark fantasy horror slash book set in the Black Death, where a knight must escort a small child. I feel like, right? Somehow she's the only one that can stop the Black Death. So he must escort her. Then we have a Romantasy that I think was pretty well received in its digital and audiobook, came out last year towards the end of the year, and its physical edition came out in the UK also at the end of last year. But in hardcover coming out this week is To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast. And it really sounds quite cool. Apparently, it is you're sent to prison for stuff, and it's like you're on this preserve and you have to fight for things. And so there is the competition setting, and it's dystopian, and she goes in to save her brother. Then a more contemporary romance, we have A Girl Like Her by Talia Hibbert of the Brown Sisters series that came out a few years ago. In this one, we are following an autistic character who's kind of shunned the black sheep of her town because she can't really, vibe with anybody. And a new person comes into town and is instantly drawn to her, and she expects them just to, lose interest and leave once they get to know her. This, though, she did self-publish a few years ago, but is now being published by Source Books. It's the first in the Ravenswood series. That's all the ones I have for this week. Maybe you found one to want to pick up or be excited about, and I'd just love to know what you're looking forward to. I hope you're having an excellent day, finding something great to read, and that I will see you in the next one.